New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life, it's free. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello. Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. I am Robyn Rice. And
I'm Dr. Natasha Wilson.
Dr. Natasha in the house. Okay. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's Good Friday here, so my children are home, and even though they know I'm working and recording, they're still knocking on the door. So we'll just be prepared.
Children do that, and I have a 16-year-old here too that thinks if he whispers, nobody can hear. What are you doing? Anyway. Okay, so we know that this is not, this is exactly the way it's supposed to be, and it's a good thing to be able to involve our families. So, how has your week been, Miss Natasha?
There it is, the knock on the door. Mom? Macy, I'm working, lovely. No, you cannot have flaming Cheetos for breakfast. Macy, get a granola bar or some protein that I've set out for you. Flaming hot Cheetos. What's wrong with this child? Anyway.
Don't you remember wanting things like that, like pizza and things for breakfast?
No. I
Really?
need to talk to my mom because I'm almost certain, like, I was the perfect child.
Maybe you shouldn't talk to her then.
I know. I'm like, says the woman who was getting phone calls from her friends when I first started university. Been like, we think we saw Natasha in the French Quarter chanting with the Hare Krishnas. We thought she was up at school.
That's so funny. See, pizza for breakfast, it's a good thing. Yeah. Well, yeah. The illusions of what we think our life was like, what someone else will tell us their story.
Yeah, no, I gave my parents the flux. I know I did, but not like I'm telling you, I gave them the flux with things like that, Robyn. Right? Like my mom would get calls. Natasha's in the French Quarter chanting with the Hare Krishnas. Is she okay? Like.
And that was when you knew what you were doing. Imagine when you were Macy's age.
No, that's 18. Who knows what they're doing at 18? I don't know.
Wait, I know, but you think you know. You think,
I know.
Like you think you know more than you did when you were 9.
That's such. I mean, yes, of course. I was telling my friend, like my 7-year-old, and you know my kids, you've seen them, and they're just getting so big. But my 7-year-old, like the other day, I called her for something. I don't even remember what it was. Oh, to try on some clothes. I bought it. Like I did a bit of an upgrade, wardrobe upgrade. We have a photo shoot coming up. Because I like to do a photo shoot every spring with them. But anyways, although it's fall here. So anyways, and I called her and she answers me, what?
And you said,
I was like, girl, we're about to have a come to Black Jesus moment, because, I know you're a white Australian and you're my child, but we're about to have a Black come to Jesus moment. So now we've worked on it. So she's very much like, yes, Mom.
Yeah, you only know about that wouldn't go down in a Black household like that if you've lived in one.
Right.
There's no, if we try to even explain it, it'll just come off sounding wrong. But I think besides that, there's a general tenure around the way different ethnicities do family and what's right and what's wrong and what happens in the house. I think even so, more and more in this day and age, the conversation has to be had, because like I know when I'm watching shows or something, TV shows, that's the way kids are talking on the TV show to their parent. I'm like, oh no, she did.
No.
I'm like,
no, actually,
no. Why are we showing this?
No way. No. I'm not getting up, going to work every day, giving you the most fabulous life I can muster to give you, and you're gonna answer me what? Yeah. Oh, and to our producer, it's the come to Black Jesus moment, right? not a Black come to Jesus moment, like I shouldn't say this, but the other day I had the people that knock on your door to like do religious proselytizing. So they came to my door. Look, my daughters love Wicked, and so we basically have like a 3D alphabet on our front thing. We only took it down for the cyclone, but then we put it back up. And so I'm sure they were already worried about knocking on my door in the first place, right? We got this green witch sitting on our front door. But then they come and they have their little pamphlet, and they all had on sundresses with these little like shirts underneath for modesty, whatever. And they hand me this pamphlet with this blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus. And Lord, let me just say, they're not going to come back. Because first, I was like, look, we're heathens. Second, I was like, if you can't be honest about the possible way the historical Jesus might have looked, how am I going to trust you with big existential questions of life? They were like, oh, thank you, ma'am. Have a wonderful Easter. Yeah. They're not coming back to my house.
No. Yeah. That's an interesting journey with people that knock on your door. It really is. I mean, I remember when I was young and my mom was so excited because she finally knew what she was going to say when they came to the door, because the Jehovah's Witnesses would come all the time. And finally, it was during one of the phases where my mom was Buddhist. And so she was like, we're Buddhist. And they go, that's okay. We can still help. Like, oh my God. So there's no getting away. So
yeah, no, they're not coming back. I was like, we're heathens. And I totally was like challenging like the epistemology of their theology, right? Like, so they're not coming back. They're not coming back. They're not coming back.
You never know. They might send the big wigs.
That's true, because they might be like, she needs to be delivered. No, and I was holding my little witchy cup, so I was like, we're heathens.
Yeah. So just to clarify, Michael, yes, come to Black Jesus moment, or you can say the look. We all know the look too. We've all
because that's what it composes of, basically. And my daughter was like,
yeah,
yeah.
That's funny. So, and I'm glad to see, Michael. I think that's beautiful. Michael just said that he's going to be selling Science of Mind door to door. I think it's great that you've gotten another job as well to help support.
Wait, I have to knock on doors with Science of Mind magazine for ministerial. That's different. That's different than coming to proselytize the people with a white Jesus. Like, I think that takes some balls to like knock on somebody's door. They already got a big green witch on the front door. And then the person answers and they look like me. Like, it takes some audacity. Anyways.
It is interesting. It is interesting. Who knows? Who knows the stories they have in their head? And, you know, like, I have to believe that some way they think, you know, we're all working for the same person or the same force anyway. So they think they're doing
I know
something
what they
good.
think they're doing. I know what they think they're doing, but I think my tolerance level, like I would have my doctor's visit. Remember, I came in late the other day to get all my labs done. So I got all my, you know, last week I was running a bit late,
Right.
But so anyways, I got all my lab results in and I am healthy. I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful, so grateful, so grateful, so grateful. And I'm squarely in, wait, how did he describe it? My doctor said, so I am at the tail end of perimenopause, moving to menopause. So some of my numbers show I'm already in menopause. Some say I'm still perimenopause. So I was like, yes, I'm running out of eggs. It's nice.
Oh, this is beautiful. This is a beautiful metaphysical conversation. This is our girls behaving metaphysically, just being appreciative of every phase of life, no matter how hot or how cold it may be, where it leads.
No, into the hot flashes. I'm here for it. I don't need the eggs. We could use them for Easter. So whatever.
All right. Well, if you're joining us for the first time, what you need to know is that what we usually do here is we pull a card because we want some guidance. And, you know, we believe that everything is here for a reason, a purpose, a season, or a lifetime. And as we pull the card, we allow it to just inform us. Maybe it's about something coming up. Maybe it goes and aligns perfectly with the past week. Who knows? We don't always know exactly, but we make it up because isn't that what we do? That's what life is all about, right? You know? I challenge anyone who says they're not a storyteller. So I have cards. Do you have cards?
I do, but you pull your card. I'll maybe pull a secondary card later. But because you have really nice cards, I was just gonna work with the tarot, and I am not reading reversals these days. So go for it.
All right, you let me know when to pull.
All right, you shuffling?
I'm shuffling.
Okay, pull.
Oh, okay. There's the card.
Let's see. Okay.
It says love-based reality. I am soul nurtured when I surround myself with friends and family who support a love-based reality.
Okay.
This is from the Soulful Woman deck of cards.
Well, what does that bring up for you?
Well, here's where I'd rather that you bantered while I look up the rest of the thing.
I don't know that one. I don't know about the reading of that one.
So I am soul nurtured when I surround myself with friends and family who support a love-based reality.
Oh, who support a love-based reality. Okay. I didn't hear all of that. What I heard was I am something when I am surrounded by friends and family. I was like, look, we got to have some caveats here. But now I heard the rest of it. So that makes more sense. Okay. Can you read a little more about it though?
Maybe. So it's interesting. It's the first card in the deck, and it says, I am soul nurtured whenever I surround myself with friends and family who support a love-based reality rather than a fear-based reality. I choose to devote myself to a reality that connects me to beauty, strengthens love in my life, and inspires, empowers, and fills me with joy.
Mm.
Nurturing a love-based reality sustains me in my life and keeps me buoyant whenever I face fears or self-doubt. It strengthens my capacity to be present and to be of greater service to life on the planet. I bow in deep appreciation to all the people who have supported me to be on my best and believed in me as I grow in love and compassion. I naturally reflect the light of these energies in all those around me. And then there's a card affirmation which says, I am soul nurtured when I surround myself with friends and family who support a love.
Yeah.
I love it. How do you not love being surrounded with love? But I think what it brings up for me is not only just the present moment, but how many people that have been in my life to get me to this moment, and people that not even so much the ones that the ones that I could name and claim as family or friends, but like even teachers or substitute teachers that came in a room, or or people at doctor's appointments that smiled at you when you were feeling, you know what I mean? Just like all those kind of people that were in the love kind of doing their work.
That's beautiful.
So it just gives me that kind of grateful feeling for like a bigger overall picture of people who have played a part in my life that I don't even know.
That's, yeah.
Do you have that?
Beautiful. I do. As you were saying that, when you talk about people that you don't even know, I have this memory from childhood. I don't know how old I was, but I remember, I know I was young. Maybe I was 8. Maybe I was 8 or 9, because it was a time when it was okay for me to, like, anyone who knows maybe other neighborhoods are like this, but like the neighborhood I grew up in, the 7th Ward, in New Orleans, like there was like a little corner store, I guess, like in New York might be a bodega, or in LA be a bodega, but it is. I was old enough to like walk to the store by myself, like the local little corner store. And I remember I was walking to or from the store. I don't remember that piece of it, but this old gentleman, I'll never forget. And I remember it was the summer that I had to get all my hair cut off, because my aunt did some sort of like chemical treatment thing to my hair without my mom's permission. And I kind of damaged it, and I had to like get all my hair cut off. And, young, it was affecting my self-esteem, whatever. But I remember I was walking either to or from the store, and this old man walked up into his front yard as I was walking down the sidewalk in front of his house. And he said, and keeping this at this time, so I had to be really young because I had no clue of what Africa was or anything. But he said, you look like a little African queen. And I knew what a queen was, and then it made me really curious about Africa. So I was like, I just remember and that was like such a great little boost to my little self-esteem, and I don't think he knew. Of course, I mean, the bigness of hearing that at that time in my life, where like my cousins were making fun of me because I didn't have any hair, and all this other stuff. And and it was just like this.
Yeah. It gave you like a warm feeling. It boosted it lifted your spirit.
It did. It really did. It really did. I have no idea who he was. Even though he lived in my neighborhood, I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if little things like that, you know, like, I'm not saying it's not based in our relative reality, but I do believe that there are these times where, like, sort of like angels or spirit guides step in to
Yeah.
help us remember something lovely about our beingness, you know?
Yeah, I do. I agree. I totally agree. There's just so many times where even when you're somewhere that's crowded and you lock eyes with somebody, but you locked that. I mean, something happened. It wasn't just, you know what I mean? There's something that happens that's unsaid that feels good, that feels, that lifts your spirit or that nurtures you in some way, or them,
Mm-hmm.
or, and there's a connection. I guess that's it.
Yeah.
There's a connection. And we don't always
Absolutely.
even know what it is. But when I think about that, like, if every one of the connections, like, is that extra love, or pouring around us, like, I mean, that helps us to keep our reality established in love.
Yes. Yeah, and and sometimes we lock eyes with people and it leads to something beautiful. Like, that's how I met my first spouse. They were performing on stage. We locked eyes. I literally walked up in the middle of the performance. Well, I went to the bar, wrote my phone number on a napkin while they're performing, walk up to the bar, gave them my number while they were on stage. I was a bold little person now that I think about it. And that
You're a
person
bold
became
little
my
African queen.
I know that person became my very first spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So I do. I also like the title of the card, like a love-based reality.
Mm.
Like, what if I really live from that every day? I mean, I know we all like love, 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 love. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We love everybody and rock the love and be the love and, all those things, but love-based reality, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because as you know, there's times when the reality is hard to find the base being that of love.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It is. It is. It can. It definitely, definitely, definitely can be. Hey, are you reading that book yet? The one I'm always going on about that I'm done reading it. I've read it a couple times now, but Universal Human.
no,
Yeah. So the whole basis of the book is basically like, what does it mean when we practice living from love as opposed to living from fear?
mm,
So when we consciously choose love, or when we notice and feel fear, we acknowledge it, right? And then we care for it so that we can return to love as our baseline. It's a beautiful way to live. And I think especially now because of, I mean, we're clearly going through a major shift in so many ways, whether that's politically and socially and just the big shifts. So I think
right.
spiritually. Um, but yeah, I think to sort of be grounded in that as a practice through this time, I just think can be very powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a break. We're going to go on a break and we're going to come back. And today we're going to talk about enlightenment.
Oh, okay. Yep. That's right.
Enlightenment. I'm not sure. I mean, it's a small little subject, you know, in our reality-based, love-based program. But we're going to talk about it. We're going to tackle it. We're going to see what comes up and, you know, and see where we go with that.
We'll
So,
go from
yeah, don't go away. And if you have something cool to tell us in the chat that came up around those cards, the card or anything we've said, please talk to us. We love to talk. We love to talk with the people.
I mean, otherwise we just talk to ourselves and, join us. Give us a break from ourselves.
Yes. But whatever you do, only take a short break and come right back here to New Thought Media, and we'll see you in a minute.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you wanna know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Wait, is it just me?
I don't know what happened to her.
Oh.
Hold on here. All right. You scared us.
Well, what is there to fear
Yeah.
in this love-based reality? I didn't do anything. It just went away. But here we all are, one big happy family. So thanks for stepping in. So enlightenment, that is the topic. What is enlightenment to you?
I'm sorry. Did I tell you, I don't know what's going on, but you all cut out for me on a regular basis. And sometimes I miss a word, but you always cut right back in. So I'm usually able to, like Michael just cut out just now, but he's back. So I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's because I'm in Safari. That's because of the browser. I have no idea. Like, you're cutting out now and now you're back. So just saying, I'm not sure if you were asking me what's enlightenment, or were you just like kind of putting it out as a general question? Like, what is it?
Yes, both. Yes to both. And it is my belief that Safari does not work well with StreamYard unless that has changed. So we can talk about that later, but I'm just letting you know that. So yeah, what is enlightenment? I mean, I think that enlightenment for me, there's the general overall kind of broad, profound understanding of like awakening and, being one with everything. And, I don't know, that kind of
Mm.
enlightenment.
Mm.
Um,
Hmm.
and then I think there's variations of that as well. Like if we look at different teachings in which I am not versed, but the Buddhist enlightenment looks different than something else, Christian enlightenment or something. But at the end of
Yeah.
the day, we're all working towards being more, I don't know, open somehow. I don't know. That's why I'm asking, what do you think it is?
I do think it's something. So for me, I think enlightenment, like everything in this existence, seems to be like a process. I don't think of it as like a thing. I think of like how we grow in our consciousness or in our awareness around a certain thing, and then we develop a sort of practice or spiritual practice around the awareness or the consciousness that like we we grow into. And then enlightenment, I think, is that thing that begins to happen when a spiritual practice kind of becomes a way of life. um I don't really think of it necessarily as like a destination. um I think of it as a process, I guess, ultimately. Um, yeah, that's kind of how yeah, to me, it's sort of like enlightenment is sort of what happens when our spiritual practice, or what we discover as our spiritual practice moves from just a practice to a way of life, a way of being. I think that's so, for instance, if my spiritual practice of coming home to love, right? Going back to our card. So my spiritual practice is coming home to love, as often as I can remember, as often as I can remember, as often as I can remember. I think what grows from that is what we might call enlightenment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, to me, it's free of any sort of like religious thing. But I think there are, like, it's possible, I think, in all of the religions. I think, not that I know all of them.
Yeah, well, I think that, yes, I mean, I think that they all contain aspects of each other, but for example, like Buddhist enlightenment, or nirvana is more of a ultimate goal. Like they come in knowing that that's their ultimate goal, to transcend like suffering and the cycle of rebirth, um, through their understanding and insights into the, um, like the oneness of who they are, the nature of reality for them. And with Hinduism, enlightenment is more kind of a liberation of the soul from the cycle of birth and death.
Of
That
karma.
kind of, right.
Mm, mm,
And then more Western mysticism is kind of what we're trying to define, and kind of, it really refers sometimes to a deeper understanding of spiritual truths, and just our connection to the universe and the oneness of the divine and things like that. And then then we bring in practices like meditation and
mm,
things to enhance that kind of inner work,
mm.
I think.
That's
So
interesting. I got a new lip gloss, and the name of it is actually Enlightenment. That's the name of the color.
is that what you're putting on now?
I'm putting it on now. Do I look enlightened?
Give it a minute to work its way in. Um, yeah, and so I think I think each journey towards enlightenment it's obviously it's personal, um, and can vary greatly, but there are those places in which we cross paths.
Hmm. Hmm. So I have this little statue of a laughing Buddha on my windowsill. And I just think about, even just now, like the sort of synchronicities, like I have a new lip gloss that's called Enlightenment. And I have this little Buddha that has this smile on its face. It's the laughing Buddha, right? And so I'm thinking about like the role of humor in the process of enlightenment, which plays a big part in the Buddhist perspective around enlightenment. So yeah, I like the sort of like academic like reading or like delineation of what enlightenment is in each of the big spiritual kind of traditions, and also like looking at like what does that look like in terms of how we live, because I'm still like I feel like, again, enlightenment for me, like everything that I'm finding in this lifetime is a process. It's a process. So even when it's like the goal is nirvana, I feel like that, like that's the framing through a translation through English language, which always sort of has this assumption that we're supposed to be obtaining something, getting something.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to being in a process,
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. That's what I was thinking about while you were saying that just, I don't think I've ever thought, I want to get somewhere like that, like to a final destination. But I do think, different days, different times. Yes, I want to live a more love-based reality, or I want to be aware. Am I being loved? Where am I coming from? And I've been thinking the last few days, and I think we talked about this a little bit too on the show. It's like, I don't know, but I was saying something to somebody yesterday about, it's like we come and we learn, and then we got to unlearn what we learned in order, so it's like, it's this back and forth between, like I always, by the time people get old and are, at the final stages of their life, like it seems like, they've had to be responsible for their whole life, and they get to the stage where once again they're almost infantile like, and they have to have people taking care of them. So it's like, I just feel like we learn, we unlearn, we let go, we pick up, we you know what I mean? It's such a, I don't know, it's a weird journey to me.
Yeah, a human journey is just totally weird. It's totally weird. I remember I was taking, I don't know what class I was taking, but it was like, I'm pretty sure it was a New Thought class, but I just cannot remember which one it was. But I remember there was this example where like there was like a little object. In this case, I'm just using the pen. And then the teacher just started saying like, we come in, this is us as a new soul to the planet, so we make a decision, we come to the planet and we're here. And if you look at, when most babies, they just love everything about themselves. They love their bodies. They love their bodies so much. They put their feet in their mouths. They just love
Right.
life. Right. And then the instructor started saying, and then we start to have human experience. Right. And so then the human experience was represented by like layers of cloth. But in this case, I don't have layers of cloth, I have layers of paper. So there's a layer of paper over that soul now, right. The human experience, another layer of paper, or another layer, a big old chunk of layer, right? Which is all life experience. But the essence is still there. And so the process of enlightenment is often like removing this layer, removing this layer, removing this layer, and coming back to remembering the essence, right? That I remember that being given as this beautiful example of enlightenment. And of course, like me, because I'm always cracking jokes, I was like, oh, so the goal to enlightenment is just to get naked. Okay.
But in some ways, I think that's really true. Because whether it's, I mean, metaphorically or not, it's like, that's all you do is like, we're continually trying to bear our soul on some level and be in that simplest form of of who we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. So I think though that we could agree on some of the things that I guess we find in this journey, in this enlightenment. I mean, because I think, when I look at enlightenment, the simplest form, and I don't get caught up in the people or the things that I think are enlightened. Like if I'm looking out there going, ooh, I'll never meditate like Ram Dass, or I'll never, do whatever, then I'm absolutely correct. I will never do that. But I think there's still components of things that happen on this journey. I mean, on some level, we're all searching for a deeper level of self, right? You think?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not trying to be like a, I don't know, what is it called? Like a word police or whatever. But like, so with a couple of my clients right now, we are engaging the 4 agreements as a practice manual, and like sort of looking at how life looks when we practice, like if we use this as a practice manual as opposed to like a really cool, wonderful intellectual exercise. And yeah, I don't know, like, so like the searching piece, like, searching for something deeper. Yes, I totally, yeah, I think that is most of us. And that depth is always there. It's about sort of becoming aware of it, like removing those layers, like I was saying, like that was used in that class. Just removing those layers, removing the layer, because the depth is there. It's the experiences that we have in reality with the small r. I think that just causes us to forget. And I think that's why when we have these moments, the Buddhists call it the Satari moments, right? We have these rememberings from a soul level of who and what we really are. Like, they really do feel so good. And again, it's like, it's nothing that like I like acquired. It's a thing that was realized, whether it was through a practice or just a moment. I think some of us really, like, we do, like, I think we come to planet Earth hardwired, loving the depth, loving the depth. And I think there are those of us that come to the planet that's like, keep me away even from the edge. And even that has its depth, when we think about existence. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, what you said before, I think that no matter which one of those personalities or anything else that we may come with, we also come that as that baby that you said, loving to put their foot in their mouth, or, their fingers in their ears, or, just wanting to find out and wanting to know with that curiosity. And I think that and I'm gonna, I don't know if this is true or not, but what came to me when you were saying this also is, and we, these generations of right now, people that have either been on the planet for 40, 50, 60, 70 years, or people that are, I'm not going to talk about young people because I just don't want to. I just don't want to. No, but that are
You
like
guys
in
are
their 30s.
enlightened.
Well, but I think what's curious is that I think we maybe even we may be being asked to do it in a different way on some level than what's been done, because nobody has ever been as bombarded by marketing and advertising in so many different ways of doing it, whether it doesn't, you turn something off and it doesn't matter because it's coming through on another device or in another way. And so really be able, I mean, because so this enlightenment journey, so what we said, it's about self-reflection and spiritual practices and all that. But I mean, I think like when we're asked, like also I know people that can't really answer the question, so what would bring you joy right now? They don't know, and I'm making this up, but my observation and my feeling from knowing them is they they don't have, I don't want to say the depth, but they don't have the they're not able to go there because they're so caught up in what's right and what's wrong and what would make someone else happy and what the right answer is and all of that.
Yeah.
Whereas it feels like a lot of times, people that we're doing this work and spiritual practice, and no matter what it is that, it doesn't matter if you're Unity or Science of Mind or Buddhist, or it doesn't matter the name, but there's a deeper level of, we start to examine our thoughts and our beliefs. And as we know, we have a current global climate that allows us to have many places to pull from and wonder, what's going on and what the societal norms, and are they right and are they wrong, and start really exploring our personal motivation and where we want to be coming from. And I don't know that that's happened at this level. Well, yeah, it hasn't. It can't have, because of all the different channels of communication and things. So I mean, I think I don't know where all that came from, but I just think when we're called, we're being called to lighten. To become lighter, to truly and shed some of that stuff that has been put on us.
Of course, absolutely. So many things are coming into my streaming through my consciousness right now as I'm listening to that, like we're being called to lighten, and it's, like you said a lot there. I was just thinking of like I got off social media, like literally I got rid of my Facebook. I tried to get rid of my Instagram, but I couldn't. So I took the app off my phone and all that stuff. I literally I asked because I don't remember my password, and I literally asked like Instagram for months. I need to reset my password. They won't send me the thing to reset my password. It's quite unbelievable. There's like this concerted effort to like keep us plugged in. But even though like I'm off these things that we've come to call social media, like I'm still, it's almost like I'm not though, right? Because I'm still getting so much information from so many different avenues, like, and so many people that the people that I connect with, they're all plugged into that. So in essence, like I'm still kind of getting the ramifications of that. And, my desire to sort of like not be so connected to this reality, this reality with a small r, is me wanting to lighten, to like unburden, like, you know, not to like put my head in the sand, but to not have my head shaped through the gaze of something that doesn't have my best interest, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting to think about what enlightenment means in a practical sense, given the world that we currently live in, like what it means to really lighten ourselves, given the circumstances we're finding ourselves in, and what that means when we are coming into contact and connection with so many beings, and really not just in the human realm. Like, so we're coming across so many beings that are being impacted, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would
Anyway.
agree. I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, you've said it. I've said it. I think that there's, you know, we could talk about enlightenment clearly for days, but if we look at this, what's going on in the world right now, where we are right now, who we are, how we've come to be who we are, you know, and really, you know, if I was to have to boil it down and think about lightening the journey, and I think, you know, in so many ways for me, I feel like that's kind of the work I've been doing, in that, well, I'll even say around, you know, the current political situation in the US, that, you know, I remember not being, I want to use the right word and I'm not going to, but I'm going to just say as concerned as most people were. Which doesn't mean I didn't think about it, or I wasn't worried, or it didn't cross my mind. But what it meant for me, my understanding was, I can't walk my talk and say all the things that we say about, well, God is all there is, and da 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 da, and everything's meant to be, and there's a reason, and blah blah blah. If I can't believe that when something I don't like happens, that something went wrong, you know? And so, like, standing in that place, it's not that I don't see the injustice. It's not that there isn't a lot of work to do. It's not that, you know, all of the things that people are feeling, but it is a sense of trust for me, trusting, like, not to get stuck there, you know, not to let that be where my light goes, where my power goes, to the negative, and really, you know, be able to come forward and not stop doing the work, you know, notice, okay, there's work that needs to be done here, and what is my role here? What is mine to do? You know, so staying awake, which is no freaking joke.
Look, I think more now probably than ever in our modern human history, like, there are two things that are like really apparent. Like, the fact that I don't live in the US at this moment, it really is helping me to really remember something that I think people in America have always struggled with, is that, like, we're not the center of the universe. The US is not the center of the universe. And there are things happening in other parts of the world that really are wonderful and beautiful. And I think it's also important to really look at places in the world where things are working, right? Where things are working, to commit even more to standing in our light. Because, you know, if we want to just talk about what's happening in the US, which is a transition into fascism or a decline into that, whatever. But if we look at that, even if we just look at it for what it is, politically, for that to fully manifest, it really requires for everyone or most of us to relinquish our power. And when I say power, I mean our light, right? There's a reason we call the electricity company the power company, the light company, right? It's all energy, right? Those sorts of systems that are trying to take over in places like the United States, in places like Hungary, and just a number of places around the world, right? Like it requires us to allow ourselves to be basically turned into batteries that can be, our energy siphoned. So our ability to command our light, I think, is a real cornerstone of enlightenment, right? Like committing to our light even more, even now, especially now.
Especially now. Yes, absolutely. And this is a topic that we can go on and will go on with for time to come, because it's
the
always
month of
going to pop
April.
up. It is the month of April. But as long as the light shows up, we'll be talking about it. So that's what I encourage everybody to do this week. Thank you so much for being here with us. We see you out there, even though you're not typing in the chat, but we'd love to hear your thoughts on this or anything that you'd like us to talk about or you'd like to hear about. We love to explore what you want to hear. So feel free to drop it in the chat.
Yeah.
Or let us know. And special thanks to our producer, Michael Mangus. He is the best. You can see him on Friday nights, Fireside Chat. And big shout out to New Thought Media Network, because they are doing the work that keeps the light on the planet in balance. So it takes all of us putting in the work. And we're so glad to be working with you.
And look, we need to keep the lights on. So, like, seriously, subscribe, do all the things that you can do to keep this light shining in the world right now. So if you're connected to any of those social media platforms, although I'm off, but if you're on there, subscribe, get engaged, connect, donate, like all those things. We want to keep the light on. Well, we're going to keep the light on no matter what, right? So do all that. And we're so grateful.
We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
All right. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.